Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tang here. So today in this video, we're going to be looking at the ultimate, the meta, the top tier Juliana stratagem build for season 4. And it's pretty much on par with the Fire Dashing Strike or even higher. So what you're seeing is me playing on, very low Paragon level but high Great Rift level that I can possibly achieve, and I've actually achieved a lot more since that video was recorded. I can actually hit level 50, level 51, 52, and it's amazing. This build is pretty much godsend. It's pretty much like the Wave of Light build, but on steroid now. Because remember with Wave of Light, you had to spread around Exploding Palm and then explode, and then the whole screen kind of explode. This one just does it much easier and much more simpler. But with this build, you can definitely achieve that level 60 Greater Rift level, depending on your Paragon levels, depending all sorts of things, right? But you can definitely achieve that because I've seen on the PTR, the highest person using the variation of this build is on level 67 Greater Rift. And that's amazing because, like I said, it's on par with Dashing Strike. It's not that little, newcomer where you can't do anything. If you're really lucky with the Great Rift generation and your Paragon levels and your Legendary Gem levels and the gears that you have, you can do amazing things with it. You can go really far with this build itself. And like I said, it's an amazing build. You're seeing me doing a lot of cascade chain reaction where I just clear the whole entire screen or clear even beyond the whole entire screen. It's just a huge chain reaction. Now, what you have to keep in mind about this build or any other Juliana stratagem build is that 7-sided strike is not the main player. It's pretty much the trigger, the catalyst, the assistant to the main player, which is Exploding Palm. And Exploding Palm does all that damage in a short amount of radius, short amount of time. But what you're seeing also is not the damage. The damage you're seeing is not Exploding Palm. It's actually 7-sided strike. You can't see that Exploding Palm damage that it does, but that damage is there, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I love this build. It's super easy to use, super easy. It's super insane damage because Exploding Palm does so much damage all around it, and it's a cascade, right? Like six. Let's say six. You have 6 mobs all around, and it all triggers Exploding Palm. So that's a lot of damage all at once in that single spot. So have a look a little bit more about for this gameplay, and I'll see you in a bit. We're gonna be looking at the gears that we need, the skills that we're gonna be using, the Kanai Cube, the legendary gems, and some other questions that you may are wondering. I'll try to answer that, but I might miss a few, so I'll see you in a bit. All right, so that was an amazing gameplay. I love it. I wish I had more time to play it. So we're gonna go straight into the gears first. And like I said, seven-sided strike is not the main player, so please keep that in mind. Even though we're using it a lot, it's not the main skill here. So what we need is the Juliana stratagem, the full set. We're not doing the Ring of Royal Grandeur combo thingy. We're doing the full set. So I've already explained what the passives are, but we're just going to go through it just once more for those who are new to Diablo 3 or seeing Juliana Stratagem for the first time. So the 2-piece set, every third hit of your Spirit Generator applies Exploding Palm. So that helps us to apply Exploding Palm much faster than before. So we're using Crippling Wave, which is a 360 AoE. So our third hit, that's what it does. It will apply for all the mobs around us for Exploding Palm to set up for seven-sided strike. Okay, to trigger it. So the 4-piece set is your seven-sided strike deals a total damage with each hit. Now, of course, that's really great, but we don't really care about that. But it's still great. It's still great. So instead of splitting your damage between 7 hits, now it's just every hit will be that X amount of damage total. Period. So there's no splitting amongst that. Okay, so that's what it does. So let's go to the 6-piece set, which is the Godsend bonus right here. So your seven-sided strike detonates your Exploding Palm. Now every single time seven-sided strike hits Exploding Palm, it's gonna detonate, which means it's gonna do that effect of Exploding Palm on that target, right? And then Exploding Palm will hurt every other target around it. Now what you're probably wondering is that, does Exploding Palm disappear from that target that got hit? No, it doesn't. It only triggers the effect. Okay, so Exploding Palm is still applied onto that target. It does not disappear once that effect goes off. Okay, so that's what's amazing about that. It synergizes with the Gundle gear that we have. So Gundle gear, what happens is that once Exploding Palm triggers, it applies it to all the target around it. That it's a distance range, right? So anything that's close it will be applied to it. So it synergizes really great with that. So once your Exploding Palm detonates, it does the damage, transfer into the other targets around it, and then just rinse and repeat, and then everything just gets cleared out of the way. So this set is amazing. So we need the set, the whole entire 6-piece set. So next piece of item we're gonna be needing is the Lion's Claw right here, which is a Season 4 exclusive only item. Console players, you're okay with this as well. You're good to go. You'll get this item as well. So we need this. We're not using the Shenlong Spirit anymore because Shenlong Spirit is kind of it fluctuates a little bit. That is not great in my eyes. I don't like anything that fluctuates. This is a static damage, right? So instead of having just 7 strikes within 2 seconds of animation, you're having 14 strikes within, I think, 3 seconds or 3.5 seconds or 3 seconds or even less than that. 14 strikes, and that's a lot because you're hitting 14 targets, which means you're hitting 14 bombs. 14 bomb is a lot of bombs. It's a lot of Exploding Palm blowing up, and that's how you can create that chain reaction. And it's really great. So this is the item that we're going for Season 4. Okay, the next item that we need, which also synergizes with Exploding Palm, is the Fist of Aztorask. Now, like I said, the main damage is Exploding Palm, so we need to increase Exploding Palm by a lot, as much as we can without gimping our toughness, without gimping our survivability, right? So we need this with its passive as high as possible. So I have a horrible one here, but the passive is 100%, and that's what we're looking for. So this is the other item that's required. And I'll go into the other specific stuff afterwards. But this is the other item that we required. So next one is the Focus and Restraint that helps us buff our damage because we're using Spirit Regenerator and the Spirit Spender, right? So we'll get that buff and it increases our damage. For bracers, we'll be using, the next required one is the Gundle Gear bracers right here. I couldn't find a good one, that's why it's in the Kanai Cube instead of on my wrist. So you can interchange the Spirit Guard or the Gundle Gear for the Kanai Cube, whichever one. But so you have the Gundle Gear right here for the next required gear itself, because we need this one. It cannot work without this. Well, you cannot clear the whole entire screen without the Gundle Gear bracers. So that's what we need right there. So now for the neck, the best in slot is the Hellfire Amulet with the Beacon of Ytar passive. If you cannot get that one, Determination is good as well, but if you can't get a Hellfire Amulet, which it should be super easy these days, you can use the Eye of Etch to decrease the damage from range attacks, or one of those ones which absorbs a element and heals you. So those are the best ones. I'm just using the one that has the highest damage possible. So that is pretty much the gear that we have. Oh, sorry, lastly is the belt. Now, I'm using Vigilante belt because I need the cooldown reduction. If you have good cooldown reduction, about 60%, then best go with the Binding of the Lost. It will help you survive a little bit more. So every single time you use 7-sided strike, it reduces your damage by 3.4%. 3.5 is probably the max. 3.5 is the max. So that's the other belt that you want to use. If you don't want to use those two, then you want to use something that's more damaging, then the Witching Hour would be the other one that I would recommend you using. But that is it for the gears. So what next is going to be the Kanai Cube, the slot that we're going to put in here. Required is of course the Flow of Eternity, because we want to trigger 7-sided strike constantly, and this is required, period. There's no exception to this rule. So next one is for your armor. Like I said, put Spirit Guard in here if whichever bracer is better. So my Spirit Guard bracers is better, so the Gundam Gear bracers is right here. For the rings, now understand that there are a variety of things, right? So there's two options. There's a few options. I use the Unity Ring because I want to survive a little bit higher in the Great Rifts, and because also my Paragon level is much lower than it used to be before, so I only have that X amount of toughness. If you can survive higher Great Rift without needing the Unity Ring, then the other best ring is the Conventions of Elements right here. It will increase your damage by 200% depending on which rotation it's on. But it's really great. But if you can't survive, higher grade rift levels, then definitely the Unity Ring would be recommended for you. So that's why I have it in here, because I need that survivability for higher grade rift until my Paragon level is much higher. So that's recommended for you. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we're gonna go into the skills. Not set in stone. You can customize this as much as you want to to work for you. Okay, so the first one we're going to be using is Crippling Wave right here. This is our primary spirit generator. Now, why we're using Crippling Wave, it's because it does 360-degree hit. So that means that all around it gets hit rather than just a frontal cone like the other ones, which we don't want, because we want to spread Exploding Palm as much as possible, right? We want to plague the screen as much as possible. And this is the ideal skill for it. So the runes that there are two runes that I would recommend using. First is Breaking Wave right here. What it does, it'll increase your damage towards enemy by 10%. Well, they're going to take an extra 10% more damage for 3 seconds, right? So this is why we use it to increase our damage even more. Now, if you want a little bit more crowd control, then Tsunami would be best, because it'll freeze the target for 1 second, and that kind of helps, for those of you who are new to the game and who can't survive that much. So it's either Tsunami or Breaking Wave would be your choice for Crippling Wave. So that is that. Next one is 7-sided strike. Now, our main focus is sustained attack right here, which reduces our 7-sided strike by 14 seconds, and all those cooldown reduction and all those extra Kanai Cube cooldown reduction and all that stuff makes our 7-sided strike actually valuable, actually playable too, right? We don't care about the damage for 7-sided strike. We don't care about this damage. What we care about is triggering this as much as possible to do the damage for Exploding Palm. So you're probably thinking, why don't you use Sudden Assault right here? It does more damage. Well, I've actually tried that, and I've actually did less damage and wasted more time because I had to wait for 7-sided strike to come up again, because it's such a huge cooldown reduction. This 14 seconds is huge. 14 seconds is huge in this game. So that's why we want Sustained Attack rather than Sudden Assault right here. You can try it out with Sudden Assault, but it's not as great as Sustained Attack, because we want to trigger Exploding all the time. That's why we have Sudden Attack right here. Alright, so next one is Exploding Palm. Their main damage is, of course, Cold, Impending Doom. because that's what we want. That's the highest damage that is possible for Exploding Palm, and we want that. We don't want any other rune because we don't need to spirit regen, because our spirit is always going to be a constant rather than fluctuating with the Shenlong thing. That's why we had strong spirit with the Shenlong's fist. But because we don't use Shenlong's fist, Shenlong's spirit, we're using Exploding Palm Impending Doom. So that's the rune that we want for this one. Next one is going to be Dashing Strike. Now, this is really up to you, whichever one you want to use. I use Radiance to increase my damage. If you have trouble with surviving, then use Blinding Speed to increase your toughness by, the dodge by an extra 40%. That would increase your toughness by a lot. So if you can't handle the hit, then use Blinding Speed right here. But if you can't, use Radiance to increase your damage even more. So you dash in, and then Crippling Wave, Exploding Palm goes up, and then hit that 7-sided strike just in time before the Dashing Strike buff goes down, and it's amazing. Now also you can actually use Wave of the Falling Star as well, but that's just a movement thing. But you're always going to be dashing. Trust me, you're always going to be dashing. Dashing will always come up constantly, so you don't need extra speed or extra movement speed for that. So Radiance or Blinding Speed would be my recommendation for that. Next is for Epiphany, the Desert Shroud, no need for explanation, and Mantra of Salvation, Agility for toughness, no need for explanation for that. So let's move on to the passive skill. The first one is Beacon of Utah, because we need a lot of cooldown reduction with this build. About 60% would be good for you. Next one would be Mythic Rhythm. This is great. I was thinking about Determination, but that only increases by 20%, right? What we want is 40% for our Spirit Spender, and so what that does is every single time we do Crippling Wave for the third hit, and then this buff goes up. So we hit 7-sided strike, and it grants us that 40% extra damage for that, and it triggers the Exploding Palm, which does even more damage. So that's pretty deadly. So Mythic Rhythm. If you don't want that, then go for Determination if you want to. It's up to you. But I prefer that extra 40% damage more. Next one is for our survivability, which is Harmony, and then Sixth Sense for also survivability as well. These two, you can use other passive skills if you want to, but those two are my recommendation for you. So that's it for the skills. Like I said, it's not set in stone. You can interchange whatever fits for you, whatever works for you, right? But that's pretty much how the setup is. And then lastly, we're gonna go into actually, let's go with Paragon level first. Paragon levels, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put everything into Dexterity. I have nothing in movement speed because, like I said, Dashing Strike is up all the time, so I'm not in need to move faster, because I'm gonna be, in that thing, 7-sided strike, everything explode, dash to the next one, same thing, dash, and then do 7-sided strike, dash again. It's just a 1, 2, 3 step over and over and over again, right? So we don't really need movement speed, but if you really want it, you can definitely put it into movement speed, so you have 25% movement speed, but everything else would be into dexterity. So offensiveness, we're going to go with cooldown reduction, because we need about 60% cooldown reduction. Maybe 58, 55 is good, but 60% is good. Then critical hit chance, critical hit damage, then attack speed. Defense, we're looking for all resist, armor, life regen, and then life. Lastly is utility. Now, we don't need resource cost reduction because we're always generating spirits, so this is whatever, it could be last. So right now also, 7-sided strike is kind of bugs. It doesn't activate life on hits right now, that's why I have it secondary. It should be fixed when server comes, but usually life on hit is good, area damage is good. It doesn't affect Exploding Palm though. It only affects 7-sided strike right there. So you can do area damage or life on hit is next, or whichever one, and then gold fine or resource cost reduction. So it's up to you with that one. So that's what I do. Anyway, so lastly is going to be our legendary gems. Okay, so this is going to be exclusively only for Season 4 as well. We're going to be using the Bane of the Stricken, and this is really, really good. So each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 3.5%. So I might be wrong on this, or I might be right on this. So every single time you hit a target, it increases by 3.5. So 7-sided strike is 14 strikes. So So 14 times it by 3.5 is 49% extra damage. I might be wrong on that, but it's actually really good because the more you hit, the more damage it does. The more damage the mob takes. So think of it as the end boss or the guardian or any of the rare elites or the champion packs who are really hard to hit. That's what it's looking at, right? It's gonna get increase in damage constantly, so the more you hit, the better it is. It's actually really good for the spirit generator build as well, so this is really good. And also the second passive, gain 25% increased damage against a Rift Guardian, so that's really good. An extra 25 on top of that. So it's an amazing new gem that it's pretty much needed for a lot of the builds, especially this build, especially the spirit generated build right here. So the Bane of the Stricken is your go-to gem. The next one is the Bane of Trap. I like the Bane of Trap because it's a constant damage as well, and it slows down enemy mobs. So 22% right now for a level 25. It's actually really good. It's always a constant damage. The next gem that, well, either or I would recommend is the Gokok of Swiftness. This will help you with your cooldown reduction. Now, if you really want God mode in this build, then definitely use this. You'll get God mode because that will increase your cooldown reduction by 15%. So you'll always be able to do that 7-sided strike constantly to trigger Exploding Palm. So that's my recommendation. Next one is the Bane of the Powerful. So you can use this for more damage if you really want to, but I don't like it because you have to kill an elite mob, right? And then you'll have an X amount of seconds before it runs out, and then yeah, I just don't like this one too much versus the other one, so you can use that. Now if you're running into trouble with staying alive, then I would recommend the Esoteric Alteration Gem to help you survive. You can use the Molten Wild Gizzard if you want to as well, but don't use those two together because you're going to be reducing your damage, and that's pretty much gimping yourself, so that's not good. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that build, and it's an amazing build. So now I'm going to go into pretty much what you're thinking, what I have on the screen right here. Okay, so can I use the Engeum sword with the build? Yes, you can if you're using the Sudden Assault skill instead of the sustain attack, but the only problem is you have to keep killing elite packs, right? What if you don't kill elite packs within 10 seconds? Then you're going to be stuck in a greater rift, and you're not going to be able to complete it in time because your 7-sided strike has such a high cooldown. So I wouldn't really recommend the Engeum versus the Fist of Astarask right here. So that's something to keep in mind, okay? And then you're probably asking, hey, can I pretty much use the Ring of Royal Grandeur? Yeah, you can. You can definitely use it, and then you can have the Mad Stone or the Leoric's Crown right here to decrease your cooldown reduction. But I actually would not recommend using the Mad Stone because it's not really needed. It's just a waste of a slot if you're gonna put a Mad Stone in there, because all you need to do is just set up that Exploding Palm or Crippling Wave and then hit 7-sided strike, as you see. You know, it just clears the screen. So there is no need for the Mad Stone within this build or within any other of Juliana Stratagem build. This is my opinion and my personal experience. So you pretty much don't really want to use that. You could use Leoric's Crown for even more cooldown reduction, so you can always have Epiphany up all the time and a 7-sided strike all the time as well. And I think that's all the things that I would answer. If you have anything else, you know, you want to put in, or have any questions you want to ask that I've missed, let me know in the comments down below, because I would definitely answer them as to the best of my ability. I don't think I'm missing anything for this build itself. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this thing. If you like it, definitely a thumbs up would be appreciated. And like I said, if you have any questions or comment, please leave them down below, and do share this video. It really helps my channel out a lot. And thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you guys. Oh, don't forget to press subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.